Hello, and welcome to Piper's Paraphrases. I'm Professor Pipes, and I'm here to tell you that the weather outside is frightful. But a fairy tale is always delightful, so since I've no place to go, I'll be talking about the classic Hans Christian Andersen story, The Snow Queen. Bundle up, everyone, because it's about to get snowy. This tale is broken up into 7 parts, and in the first, there's a horrible, evil troll! Thanks, Cooper. Anyways, the troll has a magic mirror that makes everything look distorted and ugly. But it accidentally shatters, and the pieces spread around the world. Anyone who is unlucky enough to get a piece of the mirror in their eye then sees only the ugly and bad parts of everything around them. And if they get a piece in their heart turns to ice. Uh-oh. In part 2, we're introduced to 2 young friends, Gerda and Kay. Don't worry, I'm sure the scary troll stuff was just totally random and nothing bad will happen to the little kids. The girl and boy live with their grandmothers, right next door to each other, and they play in a rose garden together. One winter, as they're watching snow fall, Kay's grandmother tells them about the Snow Queen, who appears where the snow gathers together in clusters. Kay sees the Snow Queen beckoning him through a window, but he jumps back and she disappears. The next summer, Gerda learns a little song which she sings to Kay as they play in the roses together. Roses bloom and cease to be, but we shall the Christ child see. One day, Kay gets a splinter of the goblin's mirror in his heart, turning it to ice, and another in his eye, making him see only the bad around him. Double bad luck. So basically, Kay starts acting like a little brat to everyone. But he also starts enjoying puzzles and games of reason. Oh no! Puzzles? How terrible! When winter comes again, Kay goes out sledding and hitches his sled to the sleigh of the Snow Queen, who reveals her identity to him and invites him to sit with her. She kisses him to make him immune to the cold, and then again to make him forget his home, family, and even poor little Gerda. Then they sleigh away to her kingdom. Sleigh girl, sleigh! In part 3, everyone thinks that Kay drowned in the river, but when Gerda goes there to see if she can offer a trade to get him back, she accidentally floats away in a boat. Well, that's 2 missing kids now. Gerda lands ashore at the home of an old magical woman with a beautiful garden. Gerda tells her the story of her search for Kay, but the old woman decides she wants to keep Gerda. Creepy. So she magically wipes Gerda's memory of Kay and makes all her roses disappear into the ground, lest they make Gerda remember her lost friend. The plan works for quite a while, and little Gerda happily plays in the garden and talks with the flowers, 'cause, it's a fairy tale, so flowers talk. However, dummy sorceress lady forgot to take the roses off her hat, so Gerda sees them and remembers her friend. Her tears magically bring the roses up from the ground, and they tell her not to lose hope, because Kay is not dead. Gerda runs away and realizes that months have gone by. Whoops. In the 4th story, Gerda comes across a talking crow, giving me some Major Raven vibes, to be honest. And he tells her about a princess who married a prince that sounds a heck of a lot like Kay. Gross, he's a little kid. Fortunately, after some help from the crow's girlfriend, Gerda meets the royal couple and realizes that the prince is not Kay. Surprisingly, these monarchs are not upset that Gerda broke into their castle, and after telling them her sad story, they give Gerda new clothes and supplies to help her on her journey. In the 5th story, Gerda is attacked and kidnapped by robbers since she's now, dressed all fancy-like. The robbers are a mother and daughter duo. Aww! Teaching her daughter the family business. The little robber girl is odd. She seems to like Gerda and almost views her as entertainment, while simultaneously threatening to kill her several times. However, yet again, Gerda's sad story does its magic, and when the little robber girl hears it, she gets her mom drunk so that Gerda can escape. Some talking birds had told Gerda that Kay had been taken hostage by the Snow Queen, who lives up north in Lapland. So away Gerda goes on the back of a reindeer. In the 6th story, Gerda and the reindeer meet up with a woman in Lapland, who says that the Snow Queen is actually in Finland. So she gives them a note written on a dried fish to deliver to a woman she knows in Finland, who can hopefully help them. Who needs paper when you've got fish? While the woman in Finland supposedly can do magic, she says that Gerda needs no help since she's able to speak to and influence everyone around her. And if that isn't enough to save Kay, nothing will. So the reindeer and girl head out again. In the final story, the Snow Queen conveniently heads out, leaving Kay alone, almost frozen, and making patterns out of the ice. Dang. For having the whole story named after her, the Snow Queen is barely in this thing. Anyway, Gerda hugs Kay, and her warm tears melt the ice in his heart. Then she sings the song about roses, which makes Kay cry, causing the shard of glass to leave his eye. Restored, they leave the snowy castle, and happen to run into the little robber girl, now a young maiden, who informs Gerda that the prince and princess have traveled to foreign lands and the crow has died. Gerda and Kay then head home, and as they get there, they realize they're adults now. Apparently this journey lasted a lot longer than I thought. Kay's grandmother reads to them a line from the Bible. "Except ye be as little children, ye shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of God." And Gerda and Kay sit happily together, grown up, yet children at heart. So, can we all just agree that fairy tales are super weird? I mean, Disney makes them seem kinda normal, but even then, they have hookah-smoking caterpillars and dudes kissing passed-out ladies. However, fairy tales are useful in teaching lessons, particularly to little kids, who haven't yet learned to question the fact that there are talking birds and flowers. And in fact, that's kind of the whole point of this story. The Snow Queen seems a bit like a tale of good and evil, and it kinda is. We have the good Gerda overcoming the evil Snow Queen, who kidnapped Kay. There are even numerous religious allusions, such as when Gerda's prayers come to life as angels and fight off the snowflakes, allowing her to save Kay. However, it's even more of a story of beauty or innocence versus reason. The innocent children enjoy the garden together, until Kay gets the ice in his eye. He doesn't suddenly hate everything, and the shard doesn't distort things so much that he sees lies. Instead, he starts to notice the flaws in things, like the worm-eaten and crooked roses, ignoring their beauty. He also starts to see beauty only in perfect, reasonable things, such as the symmetry of snowflakes, or the mirror of reason, which he makes patterns with in the Snow Queen's castle. Thankfully, he has the innocent love of Gerda to save him from cold, hard logic. This suggests that, with age and reason, comes a loss of innocence and an inability to see the beauty in the world. The story even ends with a nod to the religious, suggesting that only those who are innocent and childlike can enter heaven. This may seem a bit drastic, since after all, only noticing the good in things or living without any reason at all can be similarly dangerous. However, it kind of makes sense, especially given the source. Remember, this is a fairy tale, written by a man who never got too old for fairy tales. Also, Hans Christian Andersen's works were often criticized by his contemporaries, who felt his stories were not suitably educational. And he himself had a pretty miserable time in school, so it makes sense that he would view the rational, reasonable, logical adult world around him as flawed. He felt that you still needed to view the world with a bit of that childlike wonder, even when you grow up, just as Gerda and Kay did. That said, this fairy tale is interesting because while it does have a bit of the love conquers all romanticism about it, there isn't a perfect fairy tale ending. The Snow Queen and the troll get off scot-free, which is perhaps part of why Hans Christian Andersen's stories have stood the test of time. They're fairy tales with a dose of reality and darkness. There's depth to them. And clearly, the impact of the story has been long-lasting. The Snow Queen has appeared in various forms in short stories, novels, TV specials, anime, plays, and films. We see a very similar character in C.S. Lewis's classic novel, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Even the original idea for the movie Frozen involved a very similar plot. And while Disney ended up changing it drastically, a few things remained, like the journey that a childish girl goes on to save her loved one, a frozen heart, and the idea that love can save us. So, maybe fairy tales still have something to teach us after all. Thanks for watching this episode of Piper's Paraphrases. Now go forth, read a bunch, and be good people.